Hello. Thank you for stopping by. I'm so excited to be doing this after putting it off for a really long time. But very glad to be doing this. For those who don't know me, my name is Olaoluwa Bagon, but you can call me Ola, your DEI bestie. I am really passionate about helping inclusive leaders and their organizations ensure that they get the very best out of their employees. They operate at the highest level of productivity, innovation, and inclusion, especially by championing a strong sense of belonging in the workplace. I've spent the past almost a decade of my career working on the intersection of several diversity, inclusion, and equity issues, advising organizations, governments, multilateral institutions on policy, strategy, advocacy, research, and a host of diversity, equity, and inclusion related issues. And it gives me so much pleasure to come on this space and share some of those experiences, knowledge with you all. I hope you find it really helpful because that's my biggest objective of coming on YouTube, really sharing relevant information that you find helpful and that can help you also advance belonging in your organization and as a leader. So, onto the topic of the day: why your colleagues hate DEI. Highlight 3 reasons why your colleagues just might hate DEI. First one is when the organization talks about DEI more than they demonstrate or take action on diversity and inclusion issues. And this is a very touchy, hot one. But like the Texans say, you shouldn't be a rancher who has a big hat but no cattle. Imagine telling people that you're a cattle rancher and all you have to show for it is a big hat. No single cattle in sight. That would be disastrous. It's human nature for people to only trust when your actions align with the things you say. So for instance, when an organization says that we are committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion, their employees listen to them. But the true test of whether their employees trust that statement is whether the organization acts according to that commitment, especially when there's a challenge within the organization, people have unique needs and they're asking for allowances, and just the general culture within the organization, how that evolves over time. That is what is more of an indication of whether an organization is truly committed as opposed to the things they say and the policies they have, right? When actions do not line up with words, it breeds distrust, lack of trust for the leadership, and just makes people be on the defensive and really critical of everything that the organization puts forward. So this might just be one of the reasons why your colleagues say that they hate DEI. Another reason why your colleagues just might hate DEI or just might not be the greatest fans of DEI is a misalignment in the DEI philosophies. A misalignment between the philosophies that the employees stand behind versus the philosophies that the organization or the leaders of the organization stand behind. I was reading a very interesting book by Maria Morukian, and this book, one thing that this book really highlighted is the fact that all DEI initiatives are driven by some underlying philosophies, right? DEI initiatives, strategies, policies, they don't operate in a vacuum. And these philosophies range from social justice to business results, valuing diversity. I don't really want to go into all of the principles. I really don't have time to do that today. But if you think you would find that helpful or relevant, please let me know in the comment section below whether I should make a separate video about the philosophies. the main thing to note today is none of the philosophies are, the very best or the very worst. In fact, the reality is that people combine some of these philosophies, and it determines the kind of DEI initiatives that they champion, and the kind of strategies that they take, that leaders and organizations take to advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion. But the problem comes when there is no clear agreement or clear communication of the philosophies guiding the DEI approach of an organization. So, for instance, where in an organization where you have very socially conscious employees who are super motivated by social justice and really engaged with social happenings, and something happens in a particular community or a particular country, something maybe around racism, around gender inequality, and the employees, because their organization often says that they value inclusion, they are very committed to diversity and equity, they expect the organization to maybe put out a public statement or mention the incident that has happened in the country. But the organization, because they are not very keen on the social justice element of diversity and inclusion, they're more focused maybe on business results, decides not to put out a statement or even say anything about the incident, simply because the incident doesn't affect the bottom line. So why put out a statement about it? In such a scenario, the employees might be disgruntled. They might feel like the organization doesn't really care about diversity and inclusion if they've chosen to be silent about a very significant incident in the country. This is why it's important for some sense of alignment on the philosophies, the principles guiding the diversity and inclusion approach of an organization, especially between the organization's leadership and everyone else who is a part of the organization. I have created a golden cheat sheet of around 7 dangerous mistakes, 7 dangerous pitfalls that cause HR managers, DEI managers, inclusive leaders in general to lose a diverse and productive workplace. It's a very insightful cheat sheet. You would find it relevant. I'll put the link to the cheat sheet below so that you can access it. Hopefully that helps you, especially as you think through you and your organization's approach to DEI, just to avoid some of these pitfalls and ensure that as an inclusive leader, you really are poised to make a difference. Finally, one more reason why your colleagues just might hate DEI might be that the organization is not taking a very holistic approach to diversity, equity, and inclusion. We have several layers of issues, especially when we're talking about creating a more inclusive workplace. There's the angle of gender, there's race, there's disability, there's even religion, cultural differences. There's several elements to consider. And one reason why some employees might feel like, DEI is really not my vibe is when they do not see some of the issues that they personally encounter being addressed or being an issue of focus when an organization is rolling out its DEI initiatives or crafting a DEI strategy for the organization. So for instance, I've heard people say that, in my organization, I find that DEI initiatives are often focused on, celebrating diversity of gender, race, ensuring that people that are from minoritized racial groups feel very comfortable to show up as their full selves in the workplace. But religion is something that is never mentioned. In fact, I feel like when I show up at work, I can't really, wear my religious practices outwardly. I feel like I'm walking on eggshells to profess my religious beliefs or to come to the workplace really owning my religious identity. And for that reason, some people might feel some resentment towards DEI practices in their organization because they feel like it becomes an us versus them or me versus them scenario when they do not see their own unique issues covered in the DEI initiatives and strategies of the organization. So these are some of the reasons why your colleagues might hate DEI. Hopefully this helps us to be more conscious of how we approach conversations, how we approach the initiatives and policies that we craft and we oversee within our organizations. Don't forget to check in the little box below the link to the cheat sheet. I've put in a lot of information that will be really helpful for you as you reflect on your role as an inclusive leader, especially if you're working within diversity, equity, and inclusion, you're an HR manager, or just someone who is looking to champion inclusion more in their team or organization. Thank you so much for sticking around. I hope that this has been super helpful, and I look forward to seeing you another time.